we all know that like we are in this era of AI, and with this era of AI, the entrepreneurs are not just building for today, but they are also redefining the possibilities for tomorrow. And with the technology acceleration and the AI, the entrepreneurs are not only getting an opportunity to scale up their business with their creativity and resilience, but also to blend the human ingenuity with this resilience on that strong dimension of the AI. So that is exactly what we are going to be exploring right now in the afternoon session. Our first keynote session is on the entrepreneurship and building a new age India in the AI era. And we have got a very proficient speaker for this section, none other than Mr. Mayank Kumar, who is the co-founder of UpGrad, one of Asia's largest integrated skilling platforms with over 10 million learners globally. He has played a key role in the UpGrad's success, driving its India business to the 43rd spot on the FT Asia Pacific High Growth Companies 2021 list. Mayank Ability platform connecting blue collar workers with global opportunities. With a career in the education sector, he has been involved in multi-million dollar deals and held leadership positions at the Bertelsmann, the Pantheon Group, and the Tata Strategic Group. And he has received several industry recognitions, and it is my distinct honor to be inviting Sri Mayank Kumar for this keynote session. So please join with us.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure to come to the campus and meet with all of you guys. Uh, Look, I was given this topic of talking about entrepreneurship in AI and in the future world as how entrepreneurship will evolve. I just want to understand just from the lay of the land, how many of you are undergrad students here who are just studying undergraduation? How many of you doing post-graduation? Okay, so majority of you guys are postgraduate guys. And how many of you are in the looking at something in the AI space? Anybody looking at AI space right now? Perfect. Okay, so two of you are looking at AI space, and the rest are trying to explore right now. Look. I don't want to do a talk per se. It would be useful if there is we can have more of a conversation and back and forth in the context of this talk itself. Just before I get started, and I know the topic has been sort of put up here, which is entrepreneurship and building in the AI age. I just wanted to take any question that you may have that you would like me to address so that I can then take that up and then go forward with that. So if would love to just take the audience, if anybody has any questions that would be useful for them to get an answer, then I will accordingly change my talk. So I'm just opening it to the audience. If you guys have any question that you want me to address at this point of time or during this conversation. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It's easy to export a US brand, but seemingly tougher to export an Indian brand for various cultural issues. But we do have the best engineers. We do have so much going for us.
Yeah.
So an entrepreneurship is a lot about storytelling, brand building.
Sure.
So that's one thing I would love to hear.
Okay. Let me pick that up. Anybody else has any questions that you guys are? How many of you want to be an entrepreneur? I mean, if you raise only this much, then you will not be an entrepreneur. Okay. 1, 2, 3. How many of you? I mean, I'm assuming how many of you want to be an entrepreneur ever in your career, like from here on? Okay, so not too many want to be an entrepreneur. Look, I think what would be good if at the end of this conversation, the number of hands who want to be entrepreneurs can be more 100% than the current 10 or 20% itself. So look, maybe I'll take your question as we go along, but let me start by, I don't have too many things to talk about. So let me just sort of run you through some of my own career journey, because that could give you guys a slightly better understanding of how and what I've been thinking of building my own sort of career overall, and maybe some learning for each one of you guys. Um, I'm assuming that most of you at some point of time would have thought I should start something or not start something or do something in my own career. Um, how many of you have just a raise of hand? If you had to start something today, do you have a vague idea what you want to do, or how many of you have a vague idea or how many of you have a very clear idea what you want to build if you're starting up? Clear idea, and clear idea. How many of you have a vague idea, like I know broadly what I want to do? And how many of you have no idea? Okay, majority of you. No, look, I think it's a good point. I just want to start off by saying that when I was starting, see my journey, I grew up in a very small town. Just think of this point of idea and clarity of idea, and I'll come to this point as we go along. Many things that you do in building your own venture is actually not something that happens by design or by plan. It sometimes happens by accident. I grew up in a very small town called Bongaigaon in Assam. It's a very tiny town in the northeast of the country. And I had no idea what IITs were about. So it was a friend of mine or a colleague of mine, a cousin of mine, in fact, who came and told me that, look, there's an institution called IIT that you should sort of explore and try it out. So my getting into the campus in Delhi was purely by accident. I had no idea. Somebody told me, I started preparing, and it sort of happened. After coming out, graduating from the campus, I got a campus placement. I think all of you guys are waiting for a campus placement to sort of get over or get started. I got my campus placement, and then somebody sent me an email which went to my spam folder, which said, do you want to become a consultant with a Tata Group company and then start the consulting journey with Tata Strategic Management Group? So my consulting gig happened by accident. Then I was applying to business school. I guess many of you are from the business school ecosystem. So I applied to the business school. I was waitlisted. I did not get into ISB. I was completely waitlisted, and therefore it happened over a period of time. Finally, they gave me the offer and they allowed me to join. So ISB happened to me by accident. Then I was looking at my campus placement. I was supposed to get all my jobs and all my sort of interviews were cracked. I did not get a job. I was again waitlisted for my job, and my job got confirmed 2 days later. So if it would not have happened, I would not have gotten my first job, which happened to be in the education space. So my first job also happened to me by accident. I got into education sector, which was the first job after my business school at ISB, which again happened to me by accident because it was not planned for. It just, I got into a company, the company was doing education, and then one thing led to another. I fell in love with the education sector. And that's how I got into the sector of I got into the space of education purely by accident. I met my co-founder Ronnie, with whom I started UpGrad, which was completely by accident because he was looking at learning something about the education space. So meeting him and then starting with the journey and conversation and then coming up with the idea completely happened by accident. So I just want to leave you with the first lesson which came up from my own experience and my own journey is that not everything that you will do will be planned. A lot of things in your entrepreneurial journey happen by accident. And therefore, one of the recommendation or one of my lessons on feedback to you guys would be expose yourself to accidents. If you could find a way to expose yourself to accident, it's a very counterintuitive point. Nobody will tell you go and meet with accident. I'm telling you to expose yourself with accidents. What do I mean by that? Is put yourself in areas and situations in which you will be uncomfortable. Because when you do so, some of the best things come out of it. I was put into education sector, not by choice, but by accident. And I started loving it and liking it, and I became one of the best, if I have to put myself in that thought process, in the sector of education. So for you, a critical part is going to be how comfortable you are to exposing yourself to accidents. The more you do so, the more you get out of the comfort zone, good things happen to you. Your objective should be at any point of time, how can you expand the surface area of your luck? And expanding the surface area of luck is not going to happen if you put yourself in the same comfortable position again and again and again. Your objective to put yourself in a different context, in a different situation is what will make you successful than not being fully successful. I'll just request if Do I have my slides? Can that be put up? Yeah. Yeah. Is there a, I think I'd given us some set of slides. If they can just put that up. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So if that's working, I'll just move on. So my first lesson for all of you guys is just expose yourself to accidents. Don't get into a comfort zone. Don't look for the only job that you guys are coming with. Try to explore newer things because sometimes you just don't know what you are going to fall in love with. And you will fall in love with a new sector, a new domain, a new area. But in order for you to get to that place, you do need to work hard and get yourself in uncomfortable position that will expose you towards accident. So that was the first learning of just starting up. It's not a very easy thing to say somebody that exposes yourself to accident, but here I am telling you slightly counterintuitive thing as to what you need to do to sort of launch with your entrepreneurial journey. I want to start by just maybe second point before I get to my lesson that I want to talk about is about as if you guys, if I will again sort of ask you with a raise of hand, if you had to launch a venture, according to you, um, how many of you believe that launching your own entrepreneurial venture, the best time is when you are a student? How many of you believe that starting when you are a student is the best time to start up? Okay, I just want everybody to raise hand in one of the answers. Okay, 3 or 4 of you are believing that. How many of you believe it should happen within the first 3 years of your career? Okay, first 3 years of your careers. How many of you believe that it should happen at the mid stage of your career when you have kids, family, you are married, and you should start a venture at that point of time? You are afraid and you want to raise hand or you don't want to raise hands? No? And how many of you believe that you should start a venture when you're 50 years old or 60 years old? Not a bad time? Look, I was asked this question and I was thinking because when I started my journey at UpGrad, I was in a very comfortable job. I would go up at 9 o'clock, I'll come back at 5 p.m. and I was paid a lot of money. I did not have to worry a lot about various things. And my son was just born. So my son was born in April of 2014 and UpGrad started in March of 2015. So everybody was asked, and I was thinking, what is the best time? Because I'm in a very comfortable position and should I start, should I not start? And I was talking to some of my friends saying, okay, look, how do I define, how to time the market? When should I enter the market? When should I sort of start my own venture? My final conclusion after thinking through all the thought process is that there is absolutely no right time to launch a venture. Every time is a good time to launch your own venture. The moment you feel really, truly deeply about a problem statement, you feel you connect to the problem statement, that's the time to launch a venture. When I was starting up, every conventional wisdom told me this is not the best time to start the venture because I started when I was 30 years old. My family was young. So everybody said that, look, you should take care of the family and it's not something that you should spend time now to launch your own venture. But for me, it was completely counterintuitive. And I said, look, any time is a good time to launch a venture. So for any one of you who is looking for the best time to launch the venture, the best time to launch the venture is when you want to launch the venture. Do not think of timing. Do not think, let me get married and then I will start. Let me get my first experience done and then I will start. Let me have the first 50 lakh rupees or 3 lakh rupees in my bank account and then I will start. Because you cannot time the market. How many of you invest in stock markets? And how many of you can time the stock market? Entrepreneurship is something like that you cannot time the stock market. Like you cannot time the stock market, you cannot time your entrepreneurial journey. So any time where you at your gut feel this is a good time to start is a good time for you guys to start. So don't think always that let me do the permutation combination, let me put all the mathematical model and I'll come back with the right time to start. Every time is a good time to start and nothing should hold you back. Once you're very passionate about the idea, once you know this is the problem statement that you want to devote and dedicate your next 10, 15, 20, 30 or your life to, you should start your own venture. Now, when you're starting your own venture, many of you would be thinking, look, I am starting my own venture, but is this like, what would I do if this venture does not work out? And when you think of these concepts, you think of something called what we in our parlance call it as plan B, right? Do you understand plan B, guys? Everybody has heard of plan B. What is plan A, plan B, right? So we always have a fallback option. And when I was starting up, a friend of mine asked me that, Mayank, now you have a very good job. you have a good career, you are enjoying what you're doing, you have a young family. What's your plan B if UpGrad does not work out? Uh, so my response to him was, look, my plan A is UpGrad at that time, that's 2015, and unicorns were very new words that had come up. And I told my friend that, look, my plan A is that UpGrad will become a $1 billion plus company, which we are calling it as unicorn. And my plan B is that UpGrad will be a $900 million company. So for me, there was never a plan B when I was starting up. For me, everything was just plan A. The more you start thinking about plan B, you will always have an exit strategy. You will always have a fallback strategy. You will always start thinking, if I don't do well, I can go back to my job. If I don't do well, I can go back to my family business. If this does not work out, I know I have some savings that I can fall back on. But the more you rely on plan B, at the back of your mind, there's always an exit strategy that you are chasing. And once you have a plan B or an exit strategy, you are never going to put and give your best foot forward. Because sometimes, guys, it's very important that it is perhaps much better if you don't have an option. The more options that you keep in your mind, the less front foot you play that particular match in, because you always start thinking of an alternative, how to get out of it, how to not do this, how to do something else. And the more you start thinking in plan B, your plan A is not your plan A. So whenever you're getting onto an entrepreneurial journey, just dive in 100%. Do not go 90%, 80%. It's not a hedging strategy. It's a full on commitment and complete commitment to ensure that whatever that you're doing, you are able to come out successful out of that, and nothing else should distract you. Nothing else should take your focus away. Be absolutely focused. Don't think of plan Bs, and ensure that plan A is the only plan that you're working with. Think that you'll build a unicorn. If you don't build a unicorn, you'll build a $900 million company. And that's a strategy and that's a thought process that all of you guys should think about when you're looking at building your own venture over a period of time. I have just last two lessons from my own learning, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Now, while building a venture, sometimes you do, as I said, you get into an uncomfortable position. You do sometimes get into a place where you have to think about plan A and plan B. But remember that entrepreneurial journey is extremely lonely. Lonely to the extent that there are certain things that you can't even talk to your spouse, your parents, your partner, etc. And something that you need to go through at your own level independently. And therefore, as you guys are graduating and coming out of a college and looking at maybe the next career and so on and so forth, surround yourself with the right set of mentors and guides. Some of them could be your professors in college. Some of them could be your first reporting manager. But today, you have an ability to get the right kind of mentors and guides with whom you can actually converse and have a conversation with. And today, you do not have an option to not be the top 1% in your entire field that you're choosing it to be. So when I started in education space, I said that, look, I will be the top 3 or 4 or 5 guys in the world that understands education. And the reason I said that with that much of confidence, because I could access anybody and everybody given what internet has given you guys. You can email an Elon Musk and maybe one day he responds. You can email a Sam Altman. You can email Bhavish from Ola, and you can email any of the startup founders, and some of them may respond and you will find a connect. But today, given the resources that you have, you do not have an option to say that I cannot be top 1% in the field that I'm choosing to be in. And that means that you have access to all the right kind of mentors, the right kind of material, right kind of content, right kind of any kind of knowledge needed to be successful in that field. So do not shy away from not getting access to mentors and not surrounding yourself with the mentors, because this particular reason is why I say from India, if you're building, to your question, you have no reason to say why I cannot be the top 1% or the best brand that is ever out there, because we have access to capital, we have access to talent, we have access to a strong market, and some of the products coming out of India are world class in nature. It's difficult for us to build brands because sometimes we take shortcuts, but in the context of today's world, I think the culture that we are building out here, that many of our engineers and talent pool are some of the best in the market. And therefore, if you're building products around that, there's no reason why you can not shine in the market as being the best out there. And that's what all of you guys should focus on. Whatever field that you choose, whether you feel the field that you choose is education, healthcare, AI, robotics, machine learning, try to be best in that field, because being second best is not an option for you. The final one for my own sort of journey is the final one for my own journey is that, look, whatever happens, and I'm going to be very cliched in this conversation, but there is absolutely no shortcut to hard work. And there was a time when my son came to and asked me that, Papa, who do you fear the most? Do you fear somebody who's extremely skilled? And we're talking about a sport itself. So he said, and this is a point that even Roger Federer made in one of his conversations, that do you fear the most the guy who's talented and naturally talented and very good at playing sort of tennis? My answer was, it's not the one, the person that I fear the most is not the one that is most skilled, but the person who always shows up. So there is no substitute from showing up in your own entrepreneurial journey. It is consistent, the consistency at which you show up. Every day in the morning, you land up in the office. You have to fire 50 people, you land up in the office. You have to open up the newest contract and sign the biggest contract in your career, you show up in the office. You have the biggest loss because your biggest customer ran away, you show up in the office. You have a day when you realize that 300 people will be moved out of the organization, you show up in the office. It is about showing up that matters most, guys. It's not about you being the most skilled, you being the smartest in the room, you being the most talented in the room. But the fact that you're showing up every day, no matter what happens, because your entrepreneurial journey, as I said, is going to be lonely, but it's going to be a roller coaster ride. And in roller coaster, you go down and you go up. In entrepreneurship, we keep on going down for a very long time, and it takes a lot of time to come up. And when you go down, your life, you feel, is depressing. You feel, why the hell did I even start with my entrepreneurial journey? You always start thinking, do I even need to do this in my stage and age of the career? You will have a lot of self-doubt. And when you have self-doubt, please remember that there is no plan B. And please remember that you always have to show up no matter what happens. So those are all my learning, guys, from my own entrepreneurial journey. I had a few more pointers, which I will not do because we have time till 2:45. So I'll perhaps open up for any Q&A and question that you may have. I know we had to touch upon AI. I have a lot of things to talk about AI, but in the interest of time, let me just sort of take questions from you guys and then maybe respond one by one. But these are not very scientific lessons. These are not lessons from science. These are all experiences, what one has gone through. And entrepreneurship is about going through the journey of experience. You will have good days and bad days. You show up, you don't have plan B. You go in and commit 100% to building what you're building. And if you stay true to that, and if you consistently do it, I'm 100% sure many of you will emerge to be on the top of whatever sector that you're choosing it to be. Thank you very much. I'll be open to taking any question that you guys may have right now. Yes, sir.
Through the journey through UpGrad, so I've been an entrepreneur nearly 25 years. Just to check, multiple companies.
Sorry?
With multiple companies.
Nice. Lovely.
So I've burned my fingers, so I know how big it is. So through the journey with UpGrad and with what's happening generally in the education space with the shakeup coming up through AI, is there a way forward to most of the education sector? Or what I would say is a long-term plan A, like you said, always have a plan A. Isn't it always good to have like a plan B, a fallback based on what's happening in the space? And I have a quick follow-up also. And with employees finding it difficult to get jobs, young students finding it difficult to get jobs, what advice would you give to the younger group to probably focus on so that their trail to their career becomes a little better with all this AI coming in almost every day?
See, I think I personally feel that AI is. Let me answer both the question. The first one first, which is on education and edtech. I think the shakeup is a good thing. The shakeup is a good thing because every sector goes through the shakeup. I think we saw that in the IT sector when the Satyam scandal happened and so on and so forth. But many companies emerge and they build 100, 200, $300 billion plus organization. And I think those shakeup in the sector. See, what happened in the last couple of years during COVID era, a lot of money got flown into the sector. and therefore certain decision making were not very rational. It became a little irrational in terms of decision making. So that cleaning up is a good thing, and I personally feel that's a very good thing that happened to the sector. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, that was, perhaps you may say, it created a lot about the education sector. In my view, it created a positive impression about the education sector, because for many of you, people who are left behind are seen as people with high ethics, high governance, and high so on. Approach to running a business. Having said that, well, like a lot of people have this question mark. Look, if you're doing something in education, given what has happened in the sector, should I get into this space or not? I'm an eternal bull of the education sector. I feel education is a market which is very large, and there's going to be multiple innovation that will come up, whether it's in the AI space, whether it's in terms of learning, pedagogy, and therefore all of you guys thinking about the education sector, you should think that it's a very, very strong sector to be in, and you can build large scale companies which is at scale and can create impact. So I think scale and impact is one such thing that only education sector gives you, like healthcare, that you're building scale and you're creating impact. So therefore, I would strongly encourage a lot of you guys, if you're thinking of starting something, education is a great field to be in. I'm sorry, just a second question was on, just an advice for all of you guys. Look, today, when people are talking about AI, I personally believe that AI will not take away your job. And there's a meme that goes around, right, that says AI will take away your job. I personally believe that AI will not take away your job, but somebody who knows AI will take away your job. So it is important that any one of you, even if you're afraid that AI is very complicated, AI is essentially Microsoft Excel of 20, 30, 40 years back. AI is PowerPoint of 20, 30 years back. So you have to embrace AI in various conversations and in a various sort of work that you do. So my first thing would be understand AI really well and try to use that in your day-to-day life. How many of you have downloaded ChatGPT here? Lovely. And how many of you have DeepSeek downloaded on your phone? Fewer right now. So I'm recommending that all of you try out with different models and different sort of platforms that exist out there, because there are interesting output that you will see. Embrace this meaningfully. Having embraced AI, what is important is that you do need to build very strong sectoral and deep understanding of the sector that you are in, because AI will become electricity. And then who builds the best bulb, who builds the best projector, who builds the best sort of lights and sound system is how you will build on top of AI. So for a lot of you guys thinking of doing something in the space, try to have deep domain expertise, whether the domain expertise is in education or the domain expertise is in healthcare, but go deep in that space, in that domain, and try to go and understand the domain really well and leverage AI to build something meaningful out there. So for you, a lot of you guys should think of having domain expertise and then leveraging AI to build something meaningful on top of that. So that would be my sort of advice. Do cross-disciplinary, learn multidisciplinary, and not just have one discipline and go deep in that space only. Yeah.
Yes, can we please pass on the mic for one last question?
Man, do you think larger market cap companies will be built with less people because of AI, or do you think that as AI improves the productivity and all of us have large ambitions as entrepreneurs, and our ambition is infinite, so when we do get profitable, when we do have a lot of money, we want more people to do more things. So do you think that large companies will be
that mentality? Yeah, so good point. And I'll maybe just quickly run in the interest of time. So that mentality perhaps is there in India, but it's not there globally, and maybe in many founders in India. In some of our WhatsApp groups where we are talking with various founders, we are talking about, can you build $1 billion one-man company? And that's a serious conversation happening, because a lot of work that you're doing can be automated and can be seamlessly managed. There's still progress to be done, but you will see 10 people or 100 people, $1 billion companies coming in and emerging, and you will see many large cap companies coming with very few set of people, because a lot of work that are repetitive can be done using some of the tools and platforms that exist out there. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm sure that one of you guys will build a large unicorn with a single member team working on the problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for the time, and really appreciate you taking your time to speak, hear me out.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much for genuine wish to the entire crowd. And may I humbly request you to kindly stay back and accept Mayank, sir. May I humbly request you to kindly accept a token of appreciation from our end. And may I also request Monu, Dr. Monu George, the remarkable HOD of Jain University, to kindly do that honor for us. Kindly hand over our gesture of appreciation to Mr. Mayank Kumar for that wonderful keynote session, and thank you so much for the last 5 takeaways, especially never back up on a plan B, because it's always plan A. The importance to be having a mentor in your lifeline, and also that how the uncomfortable situations are bringing out the best out of you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time.